and welcome to the Love to Mom podcast. I am Jerry, and as always, I'm joined by my semi-aquatic mother, Christy.
I'm super aquatic. Hello, everyone.
Yes, as
Really good.
as the title suggests, we are going to be talking about the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Zissou.
Yeah, I was trying to pay attention to that because I will 100% mispronounce it.
I think
But that's what it sounded like.
I think they pronounce it a couple different ways. Like
Mm.
there's some people at like the movie premiere at the beginning that pronounce it like Zizou, but then he
hmm
pronounces it Zissou. So
hmm
I don't know. It's
Yeah, I mean, some used the Z, some used the S sound. Then they'd put accents on different syllables. It was like, I don't know how you're really supposed to say it. You're right. It did depend on the character.
yeah, I don't know if there's a right way to say it. I feel
Uh,
like when I hear people talk about the movie, they say Steve Zissou, but
okay.
that's not really how they say it in the movie. So I don't know.
Not really. I don't either.
But
We'll just play it loose.
we'll just call him Steve.
Yes, Steve. That's good. That's good.
But yeah, this is a classic Wes Anderson movie. I don't remember when it came out. I'm going to say 2003.
Oh, you're so close. 2004.
Oh, okay, right.
They filmed it in 2003.
Okay, I'll take half points then.
Yes, that's pretty close. That's impressive. Good job.
Well, I knew that Grand Budapest was like 2014
Mm,
or something. So I'm
mm,
like, I know it was like a way before that. Well,
mhm.
not way, but whatever. Uh, so we're talking about Life Aquatic, Wes Anderson, 2004. What did you think?
Okay, well, I have many, many thoughts.
Whoa,
I
okay.
just finished watching it 15 minutes ago. So it's very,
Okay.
very fresh in my mind. Well, it's quirky, like all of Wes Anderson. I feel like his stuff is always very quirky and
Mhm.
visually always amazing. And so um, I think I had seen that this was his fourth feature film,
Oh,
so
wow.
pretty early in his career. And yeah, I thought there were parts I thought were really funny. I don't know. Sometimes again, this is kind of like, it makes me think of Dr. Strangelove, where it's just a
Mhm.
little bit off. There's that,
Oh,
um, the quirkiness factor, because sometimes it's just a little off. But I definitely laughed a few times, so I enjoyed that. Um, and I loved the visuals. I loved the color, and I always pay attention to that, especially in his films. I
sure.
loved the animated or
The little
oh
stop
my gosh.
motion
Thank you very
pieces.
much. The stop motion creatures were amazing in this.
Yeah.
And then there were just a lot of little things in some of the scenes that I really enjoyed that were just kind of funny. And so, I mean, overall, I thought it was good. I thought it was good overall. I don't know. I
Okay.
such a hard time when you ask me that as an opening question. I need a more specific question. Like,
We're just getting
I don't even,
started. What do you
I
think?
know I have a hard time when it's such an open-ended question because I'm like, I don't even know what I want to say about it. It's hard for me to conceptualize that whole thing because there's so many different aspects of it
That's
that
true.
I could talk about. But overall, I enjoyed it. I found it enjoyable. How's that?
That's
It was about
sufficient, I
that was
think.
about like 3,000 words for me to say I enjoyed it.
Well, I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
This is probably my first time seeing it in 5 years. I
Okay.
think the first time I watched this movie, I rented it from the library at school because
Mm.
they had a bunch of like DVDs and Blu-rays on display at my school, and I think it was like every weekend I was renting one. So
Was
like
it high school or college or?
college, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Um, yeah, so that's how I watched like Eraserhead and
Mm.
this movie, and I think I watched Royal Tenenbaums as a part of that too.
Yep.
Um, which I just looked up. Like, I didn't realize this was number 4. Like, Royal
Mm.
Tenenbaums came out right before this. And I'm
Yes.
like, that's a jump. Like, I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen Royal
I
Tenenbaums.
have not, but I was looking at award winner, like I was looking
Oh,
at a list of all of his films and what ones have been nominated and for what. And Royal Tenenbaums had been nominated for things.
yeah.
Rushmore was his first film, right?
Bottle Rocket.
Oh, Bottle Rocket, and then Rushmore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so those are the first four. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Bottle Rocket's like super lo-fi. I have not seen it,
Mm,
but
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do think it's kind of fun. Like at least for like the first 4 or 5 movies, like the Wilsons are always in them. Luke
Mm-hmm.
Wilson wasn't in this one, but
Mm-mm.
I just think it's super cute that like the Wilsons and Wes Anderson they just like grew up together in Texas, and they're just like a bunch of friends that were making movies, and
I
like
love that.
now they're huge stars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like that's
I had
just so cute.
seen I had seen in some of my research that I was doing, and I didn't realize this, that the first, well, it must be his first three movies he wrote with Owen Wilson.
Oh, I could see that.
This is the first movie that he did with Noah Baumbach, or I don't know how
Yeah,
you say his
yeah,
name.
Bombach.
Um, but that Owen Wilson was getting too famous, like too
Oh,
much of a star. Not that Owen Wilson stepped back, but more like he was more busy, and so he didn't have
oh,
time. So this movie was the first one that he partnered with Noah Baumbach to write. So I thought that was interesting.
that is interesting. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Noah Baumbach, of course, went on to have his own career.
Mm-hmm.
Very accomplished director. I think didn't he like just have something come out? I feel like.
I can't even tell you any specific movies that he did, but his name is familiar, which makes me think that, he at least has something that has been in the news or, up front somewhere.
Yes. So, well, the one that I know you've seen because I've seen it with you is Marriage Story.
Oh, yeah.
He also did The Squid and the Whale, which I
Mm,
watched last year.
hmm.
Um, let's see. White Noise came out in 2022. The Meyerowitz Stories in 2017. Um, did Kicking and Screaming.
With Will Ferrell?
I think so. Yeah.
Is that Will Ferrell?
Yeah,
Nice.
1995.
Wow, wow, talk about a difference between Marriage Story and Kicking and Screaming. Those are like so opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, he's
That's
kind of
funny.
like an artsy guy now. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that's
sure
interesting.
he's married to Greta Gerwig.
Okay, that's probably how I know his name. I bet you that's
Yeah.
how I know his name.
And I think they met
That's cool.
like Greta Gerwig is in a bunch of his movies. And I think that's how they
Oh.
met. And I think she actually got her start directing by like co-writing and co-directing one of his movies.
Mm.
So it's kind of interesting how all that starts. And
Yeah. You know what? I bet that's probably why I know his name is because of Greta Gerwig. Because,
probably.
everyone was talking about her Barbie year. So I,
Yes,
I wonder if maybe that's where I've heard his name. You keep going.
probably. But Noah Baumbach is actually in the movie. He
Oh.
plays, I think, I don't remember his character's name, but he's like one of the guys who's like the sound, or no, he's the guy who does the score, I think.
Oh, okay.
So he's like,
Huh.
he doesn't have like lines, but he's like
Mhm.
always there. And I think that's kind of
Yeah.
fun.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, but I guess maybe should we give like a little plot synopsis,
Sure.
a little thing?
Mhm.
Um, so I guess the movie follows the Captain Steve Zissou and his merry band of misfits, and they make documentaries. That's kind of their main thing. Nature documentaries on the ocean. They have their own ship, and they go out and have adventures, film it, and then release them as movies. And his most recent movie is about the jaguar shark, which kills and eats his best friend. And that's part one. And part two is him going and getting revenge. And so the whole movie is basically his quest to find a jaguar shark and make a great movie. But at the same time, Owen Wilson shows up and says, "Hey, Steve, I'm your son." And so then
Mhm.
there's this kind of like lost father and son relationship that's going on while this ocean quest is going on. Um,
Mhm.
and mischief and hilarity ensues, as you can probably imagine.
Yes. A
But
little bit of a love triangle that you've got
yeah,
some Jeff Goldblum in there, which is always a joy.
always, yeah.
Yes. I thought too, the like the fact that that first movie was a flop, and this was like his chance to prove that he didn't make this up. He didn't really kill his friend. Like there's this whole undercurrent too, like of like I need to redeem myself in the eyes of the public and prove that this is a real thing, and that I didn't murder my friend at sea, which I also thought was an interesting part of the story.
It's really
But
funny too because yeah, we see that first movie and like
hmm
it's pretty bad. Like it's
hmm
so dry and boring. Like the way that these guys they're having this like outrageous adventure, but every time they're talking directly to camera, no smiles, just straight on. It's like the
hmm
least interesting filmmaking you've ever seen, and he's just
hmm
talking so dry about
Yes.
everything to like the point when Owen Wilson's character Ned joins the crew. You know, they see all the jellyfish that washed up on the beach, and he asks one question, and it like throws off the entire rhythm because they're like, "Oh, we're not used to having actual conversations. We're just like, oh yeah, they're jellyfish. They kind of look cool. Let's just film me in front
They
of them."
reflect the moon.
Yeah.
Well, and then Kate Blanchett's character shows up,
Oh.
and she like knows the real name for it. And I think that's a funny running joke through the whole thing where they are he will say the name of something and he'll have it totally wrong. Like he's just making up names for creatures based on what they look like or whatever.
Right.
It was kind of funny. She was kind of calling him on it, and so
Hmm.
it was messing him up because he's the expert, you know.
He's the expert. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of the arc that he goes on is that he's kind of a huge fraud and he's a
hmm
huge asshole. Like he's the worst guy. Like I think one of the first lines he says is like he's talking to his wife about Jeff Goldblum and he just like casually calls him the F slur. And I'm
hmm
like, "Oh, did not remember that."
hmm Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know
Yeah,
that's
the
the
whole
point.
go ahead. No, I'm sorry, you go.
Well, it's just like I know that's the point, but it's just like, wow, it's
Mhm.
shocking to hear that. But I mean, it came out 20 years ago. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I thought it was really fun to see Angelica Houston.
Oh, she's great.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't feel like you see her very much
No.
anymore. So it and she looked great. Like now that I'm realizing it's 20 years old, I thought that Bill Murray was looking pretty good. I didn't realize it had been 20 years. That makes a big difference. But
Yeah.
I just don't feel like you see her in much. I mean, I think she's still alive. I don't know.
Yep.
I just don't feel like you see her.
Yeah, she's
So that was
73.
enjoyable. Oh, so she's not that old.
No. Yeah, she's kind
Okay.
of, well, I don't think she's a Wes Anderson staple anymore, but she was in
Mm,
Royal Tenenbaums and this,
okay.
and it looks like she was in Darjeeling Limited, which was the movie that
Mm,
came out after this. So she
mm-hmm.
was on a run of being in Wes Anderson movies. And I think
Okay.
that they have really great like chemistry. Like her kind of like dry wit works really well with like the Wes Anderson style. She's
Mm-hmm.
great at playing that character.
Yes, I agree. One of the things that I had seen her in years ago, that I know her best from, there was a mini series on TV called Buffalo Girls, and it
Oh.
was like Annie Oakley, Wild Bill, and I think she played Annie Oakley, and Melanie
Mm.
Griffith was in it. I
Oh.
don't know. That's the thing that I really remember her from. It was very, very popular at the time.
Hmm.
It's very old miniseries, like old-fashioned TV miniseries from back in the day on a network, but, she played the main character, and I really loved her in that. It made me go out and read the book because I loved the show so much. It was
Oh
actually
wow.
based on a book. Um, but anyway, I just hadn't seen her in so long. It was just really nice. Or like she's also perfect as Morticia Addams in
Oh
the
yeah.
Addams Family. She was superb in that as well. Like it just really fits her
Oh yeah.
stuff,
I don't
you
know if
know.
I've ever seen that one, but she
Oh,
does
she's great.
like seem like the perfect fit for that.
Mhm. Yeah, she did a really good job on that one,
Wow.
but it was fun to see her.
Hmm.
I just don't see her much, so
Yeah, she's
that was
great.
enjoyable.
But
Mhm.
I think we need to talk because it might have been unpopular that I picked this one. This is not a super well liked Wes Anderson movie. Um, I think it's one that most people will recognize the name for because it
Mhm.
has a very distinct name. But
Mhm.
even like Wes Anderson fans kind of don't really like this movie as much as they like the other ones. But I kind of disagree. I really like this.
Mhm.
I think maybe I like a he's not like a redeemable. He's fine. He's got some quirks and flaws.
Mhm.
And he doesn't really grow a whole lot. He's kind of static, where he's like,
Yeah, I feel like at the end you get a feeling that he has changed. That last scene with the little boy where he puts him up on his shoulders and he's walking through the city. I think that, and obviously that little boy is not a newborn, you know.
right,
So you're looking like 6 years, 7 years in the future, and the fact that he even has a relationship with this child um, kind of intimates that he grew through this because before, the old Steve would not have had anything to do with kids. So
that's
I felt
true.
like that was showed a little bit of growth, but not really in the movie itself. You just saw it
No,
at the very
it's a
end.
nice little finale where it does kind of have a
Yeah.
lighter tone. But did you notice
Mhm.
in that scene he actually doesn't pick up the award?
I did notice that.
Yeah, he wins an award,
Left
and
it.
he picked the kid up and then left it on the red carpet.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's kind
Yeah.
of neat. That wasn't
Mhm.
something that they really like brought attention to. There wasn't like an insert after they walk away of the award sitting on the carpet. It's just like a little thing where it's like, this whole time he's been like trying to prove that he's like he's capable of making another great movie, that he hasn't completely fallen off. And he finally has that like material thing that proves that he's made something worth watching, and he leaves it. Instead,
Mhm.
he picks up the boy that gave him the little seahorse in the beginning.
Was it the same boy?
I think so, yeah. It's, what is it?
But isn't that supposed to be her son?
Oh, I
I
don't know.
I thought we flashed forward years and it
Oh,
was that was actually her son and he gave him the ring.
no, because 'cause isn't the baby they I don't know, it's been a couple days since I've seen it.
Yeah, they didn't really say who he was,
Oh,
but I guess I just assumed that's who he
he's
was
wearing the same
because
outfit. He's wearing, like, lederhosen and, like, a little bow tie.
oh my gosh. So do you think that happened at the same time? That he
No,
had won an
I
award he didn't win an award for that movie,
I
right? For
figured it was
the
just the
first?
next year.
Oh,
Where it
I
was
see.
like,
Okay.
yeah, the kid just shows up again. Because 'cause isn't it like
Hmm.
Klaus's nephew or something?
Oh, yeah.
It's something
Yes.
like that, and so he
Yes.
came to the premiere, and so he picked
Aw.
him up. That's why I thought, like, for a second when the kid he was, like, gonna take something out of his coat, I thought it was gonna be,
Yeah.
like, a picture of him and the seahorse on, like by the shark or something, and I was like, "Oh, it's a nice little thing where he
Mhm.
remembers the kid and he took the time to make that effort," but instead he
Yeah.
gives him the ring, which I guess is a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I wish I would have put that together. I didn't even put that together. For some reason, I'm thinking about Kate Winslet's character being pregnant, and that's kind
Oh,
of where we left off. And so then I was like, oh, this is like flashing into the future, and here's her little boy. That's kind of what I was thinking. But you are 100% right. I was wrong on that. I don't know why I didn't think back to the fact that that was the same kid. I don't know that I paid attention that much to what the kid looked like at the beginning.
yeah.
Um,
I don't
but
know.
even so, that's sweet.
It's sweet, and I think it's a nice
Mhm.
little bow for his character.
Mhm.
So I'm not entirely sure why Wes Anderson fans don't really like this one. Maybe I should have done more research like you, because you do all the
Mhm.
research.
Yeah,
Um,
I did do a bunch of research on Rotten Tomatoes stuff,
oh,
and you're right. This is like maybe his lowest or second lowest rated
yeah,
of all of his films and stuff. Yeah, I think it was 57% is what I want to say,
for
something like that with
critics.
an audience. I think that's audience maybe. I think
Okay,
critics were a little bit higher. His highest rated were some of them were ones I've never heard of before, but
mm,
like up toward the top at like 93% was Fantastic Mr. Fox was
sure,
way up there. Moonrise Kingdom was way up there. And Grand Budapest. Those were
sure.
kind of up in the top. But then there were some others that were rated even higher that are more recent, but they were ones that I
Oh,
had never
oh, the
heard of
is it the
before,
Henry Sugar ones?
maybe. Well, one was a short. Was that a short?
It was four
Okay.
shorts.
4 shorts. That might be it. That
Yeah.
might be it.
They came out last year and they're very good.
I think he won an award for those.
I
Like,
would hope
actually
so.
won. I cannot remember. I didn't write it down because I was like, I've never even heard of this thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, that might have been higher rated, but the other, 3 high ones are the ones that you would expect. The ones that people think of when you think of Wes Anderson are those 3. I
Yeah.
was very surprised that this was that much lower, like significantly lower. I did not find it unpleasant to watch. I enjoyed the visuals on it, especially with the creatures and stuff.
Mhm.
So I was kind of surprised that it was that low.
Yeah, I am too. I'm not entirely sure why this movie gets so much flack. I mean, it isn't as like pretty as other Wes
Mm,
Anderson movies. There's a real
mhm,
dinge to it. Where like that boat
mhm.
is gross.
It
It's
is
like
gross.
it's old and falling apart and it's rusty everywhere. All the cabins are so small. And
Hmm.
like you can tell it's like an old wartime, like from World War II. It's like an old boat that they can't afford to replace or repair. So
Hmm.
it's a real beater. But
Right. Especially when you see it next to Jeff Goldblum's boat.
right.
It was a big, beautiful boat. So I did a little bit of research on that. If you're interested, that
Sure.
there's some interesting ties. Sometimes I always research after I watch, which is good. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I would have known that before. But I also don't want spoilers. So it's like this kind of balancing act there. But so the red hats are. This movie was dedicated to Jacques Cousteau. I don't know if you
I,
know that.
I saw that, yeah, in the credits.
Okay, and Jacques Cousteau always wore a red hat.
Hmm.
So that is an homage to him. But here's the cool part. Okay, I have to pull up my notes because I don't want to get this wrong. It is okay. So Cousteau's ship, the name of his ship was the Calypso.
Okay.
Okay, and Zissou's ship is called the Belafonte,
From
and
yeah.
Harry Belafonte became famous singing calypso songs.
I think his first album is called Calypso, isn't it?
That could very well be. Yeah, I'm not sure for sure, but yes, it's like that's how that ties together. Because I'm like, there has to be a reason that it's named the Belafonte. Like, I couldn't put it all together. So knowing the red hats is a tribute to Cousteau. That his ship was Calypso. Then this ship is called the Belafonte, which he became famous for calypso music.
Mm-hmm.
And when Bill Murray is first introduced to the Italian audience in the theater, the model of the Belafonte on his desk is actually a model of the Calypso painted blue instead of black.
Oh, interesting.
And it's the same kind of boat that Cousteau used. So the one they used in filming this movie is the same type of boat as Cousteau. So there's like
Hmm.
all of these really cool connections with that, which I mean, that's what Cousteau did was these, way back in the day when technology was not so great. I remember watching these on my grandma's TV when we'd go over to her house and you'd hear him narrating it and it looked just like this. They're in this beat up old boat and and he's got a French accent and he's
Oh, sure.
narrating what he's doing. And so I just thought, oh my gosh, that's really fun. I like all those ties to
Yeah.
how they paid homage to him and what that filmmaking was at the time. The other thing I thought was interesting was I like the way they went from room to room on the boat. And that model that they made to
Mhm.
do that was 140 feet long.
Wow.
So they built this giant open-sided boat so they could do those scenes where they're flipping from room to room. I just
Yeah.
thought that was really great. I liked the visuals of that.
I love that too. And that's one of like my favorite things about Wes Anderson is that like he relies so much on like practical effects. Not that I like hate CG in all its forms. It's whatever, but there's like so much craft in a
Mm,
Wes Anderson movie where there's like a lot of like miniatures and like models and stuff.
mhm.
It's just all really really great. Like great filmmaking, which I really appreciate. Um,
Yes, I agree.
and I looked it up. Calypso is Harry Belafonte's. It's not his first album,
Mm.
but it was the first album that made it big here in the States. It's the one that has the
Mm.
Banana Boat song on it.
Yes, Deo,
Yes, which by the way,
Deo.
that whole album
Yes.
is fantastic. I've listened
Oh,
to
I have
it.
not.
It is very, very good. Jamaica Farewell is like I like it more than the
Mm.
Banana song. I'll say it.
Well, I'm going to write that down. I do like calypso music. I think it's really fun.
It
Um,
is. It's very good.
do you know his history with the civil rights movement?
Oh yeah, he's friends with MLK.
Huge. Yeah, he was huge in the civil rights movement, and he used his influence, the influence that he had um, with celebrities and stuff to help, and with the amount of money that he had, because he was very wealthy, to
Hmm.
like fund some of the people that were active in the civil rights movement. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Yeah,
what
I
was the
wrote
name
a
of the
whole
song you were saying?
oh,
I'm sorry.
Jamaica Farewell.
Okay,
Jamaican
got it.
Farewell.
Hmm.
Yeah, no. In my senior year of college, I wrote a whole 15-page paper on music and the civil rights movement, using mostly him and Nina Simone as
Mm,
examples, which
great
is why I
examples.
listened to that album. So I'm like, I need to
Mm-hmm.
listen to this. And it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Love it.
overtly like, that's not like a civil rights album. It came out in like 56 or something.
Mm.
But it was like because of the success of that album that he went on to be able to help all the civil rights organizations and stuff.
Right. And didn't that kind of like put him, I think that was a risky
Oh
thing to
yeah.
do.
Oh yeah.
Um, at the time, to take somebody who is so successful, and to take that success and then pour it into a very, at the time, controversial sort of
Hmm.
movement. That was a risky and brave thing to do.
Yeah.
So I have a
Yeah.
lot of respect for him. He's pretty
Oh
great.
yeah.
He was
He's
also
great.
on the song. He did Live Aid too, or not Live Aid. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We are the world. I can't remember what the
The what is it?
is that. Oh, is it Live Aid? No, Live Aid was the concert,
It was something.
but it was for like hungry people in, I think it was Ethiopia at the time, where there was a drought and they couldn't,
Oh,
there was a famine. And so they had recorded the song. That's the one with, I don't know, 50
everybody.
celebrities, Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson
Yeah.
and Cyndi Lauper, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan was there. There's a documentary out on Netflix. If you have not watched it, you should definitely watch it. It's a good one.
About that song.
Yeah, about the recording of that
Oh.
song specifically. And they were interviewing, a lot of the people that were involved in it, like Lionel Richie, they were interviewing him, and it was interesting. I think Cyndi Lauper, Sheila E. They were trying to get Prince to join in. And so they
Mhm.
invited Sheila E., thinking, oh, if Sheila
Oh.
E. comes, then maybe Prince will come. And he didn't show up, and she left because she got mad because she realized what they were doing.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, it was a good documentary. That was a Harry Belafonte deep dive for y'all.
Oh, he's great. He's also
He is.
in Black Klansman.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't remember that.
He's
You and I went and saw that together.
yeah. At the end of that movie, when the Klan is going to bomb that house that has a bunch of like civil rights people in it, and
Mm-hmm.
they're all gathered because they're going to be talking with like this old leader. That old leader is Harry Belafonte.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
Well, it's kind of hard to recognize him. He doesn't look like he did.
I mean, he'd be pretty old
He
at that
was,
point.
yeah. Is he still alive? I think he's still alive.
He might be. He's very handsome.
Let me see.
USA for Africa was the name of the band
Oh,
that, the name of the recording that they did for We Are the World.
oh, okay. He's not still
USA for Africa.
alive. He
Oh,
died in
no.
2023. He was 96.
Oh, whoa. 2023.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Huh,
That's
cool.
yeah. So the ship is called Harry Belafonte because of that, or just Belafonte because of that.
Belafonte because of that. Yeah. One of my other favorite ones. I love the scene where Bill Murray puts the uh, music in his helmet, and he's
Oh
just
yeah.
doing this very subtle little dance in that little wetsuit. That made me laugh so hard. Just these little teeny tiny movements.
Yeah, it was like
I love
so
that.
subtle. And I thought
So subtle.
it was like, I don't know if he knows how to dance, or it was
Oh,
just like, I'm not saying Bill Murray. I don't know if Steve
yeah.
like knows how to so he's like he's on camera, so he's just like, I think I've seen this before, and he's like kind of rickety and just like yeah, there, yeah, nice.
Yes. That part tickled me. The other part I thought that was really funny was when he was on camera and he had the big window behind him with the orca swimming behind him.
Oh,
And you see the orca swimming by like right side up, and then you see it swim by going upside down. And then it's just looking in the window.
I'm
I
sick
just
of
thought
these
that was
dolphins.
so funny. You couldn't take your eyes off of it.
I
It
love
was cute.
I love too that like that they have the dolphins and the dolphins don't really do anything. And then Jeff Goldblum has turtles and they just like sit in the tank. I'm like, why are you guys hooking cameras up to all these sea animals that you can't train to
I
do
know.
anything?
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was funny too. Yeah, that was really funny. I think that I saw that the dolphins were real.
Oh wow.
Um,
Really?
yeah, yeah, I think that
Huh.
I saw that somewhere. Now, whether it was a reputable source, I can't say, but I did see it written out there somewhere.
Huh.
But most everything else was, the stop motion, which I really loved.
I love it
Um,
too.
those scuba diving scenes are great.
They're so much fun, and especially like
Hmm.
that end when they're all in the submarine, they're all packed together, and you're just seeing all those fish. Then when we
Hmm.
actually see the jaguar shark, I love that there's just like all this big buildup, and then they see it, and then they're just like, "Did you get a good shot? It looks nice, Steve." Like nobody's like saying anything. There's not like a big musical swell. They aren't like drinking champagne. They're just sitting there
No,
looking at the
yeah,
shark.
yeah. Well, and wasn't somebody like he was going to get his revenge?
Yeah.
And he
Oh,
never
yeah.
did because it was so beautiful.
Well,
Like, how could you kill something so beautiful?
I don't know. I think Klaus is like, "Should I get the dynamite?" And he was like, no. Also, we're out. So it was like he thought
Uh,
about it, but like they're out of
yeah.
dynamite because they had to save what did they call him? The bank
Oh,
Scrooge or something? The
what's
the guy who's there that gets
oh,
kidnapped.
yes, yes, I know who you're talking about.
I
Yeah,
forget what they
because
call
they
him.
found out he could speak
Filipino.
Filipino, yeah. Yeah, and they shot this movie in Italy, and they
Oh,
were going to be, from another country, but they couldn't find enough people to play that part.
oh,
So they ended up going with Filipino people because they had access to more Filipino people in Italy, I guess,
that's
and so they
fair.
decided to switch the nationality. I just thought that was interesting.
I love that
Ooh,
too. And like
yeah.
when they go to like save that guy. This was another thing
Mhm.
where I thought that Angela Houston was really great, where she's like going through the plans. She's like analyzed all of the like analyzed the recording and was able to track them down to one of these three islands. And she points to the island where they're gonna go. And Steve walks up and points to the wrong island. And it's like so subtle because like he like starts explaining it and then like right in the background she points to the right one.
I loved that part.
I'm like, that is
I
so
laughed
I
at
love that.
that. Yes. I like that too. Yeah, there were just these little moments where it's just they just tickled me. Those visuals were great. I liked that a lot.
I love that too.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah, me
we
too.
should talk about the root, the story, the father-son relationship between
Yeah.
Steve and Ned.
Okay.
What did you think of that relationship?
Yeah, that was really interesting. Because he felt conflicted about it,
Hmm.
and you could see the like, I want you to be my kid. Like I'm renaming you, even though you don't want me to.
Kingsley Zissou.
Yeah, and like I don't know. It was so interesting because he knew about him that whole time and never approached him. And but then when Angelica Houston says, yeah, like he is sterile, basically, that you can't be his kid because he can't have kids
Hmm.
at the end. It was like, does he know that? How does she know that? Or is he living in denial? But
Sounds
he
like
seemed to like glom onto him really quickly there at the beginning. Like, I can't prove it,
hmm.
but in every way, he's like pulling him toward him, wanting to influence him. So I don't know. It was an interesting dynamic. There's a lot of push pull on his part, on
Yeah.
Steve's part. And Owen Wilson's character just seems like really unsure what to do, how to
Yeah.
handle this.
He's Owen Wilson is just like he's just going whichever way the wind blows. Like he's one of those
Hmm.
characters, and I love that archetype. Whereas it's
Hmm.
like, sure, why not? I'll join your crew. I'm a co-pilot, Air Kentucky,
Yes.
which
Well, yeah.
I love Ned. He's like my favorite character in
Mm,
this thing.
mhm.
And I love that he is just like this. He's stern. He's able to talk to Klaus and say, "Hey, don't come at me." But he's also just like one of the nicest people ever.
Mm,
He's like so
mhm.
sweet to everybody. And like it feels like once everyone gets to know him, they like instantly come around. Where like on like
Yes.
the second talk, Klaus is like completely come around to him.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I love that. I love
Yeah.
like that they were a little bit weary, but then it's just like, oh, he's one of us. They put him on
Yeah.
the flag, and I love that too. Where
Yeah, I did too.
that flag,
It's so sweet.
it's
It's so sweet.
and Klaus gives him the salute. I'm like, oh man, yeah, Ned is the best.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he was kinda complicated because, like, the whole thing with the Kate Blanchett character, he knows but here's the whole thing, it's so convoluted because Steve's married to Angelica Houston, but he likes her, so Ned is supposed to leave her alone,
But he
but
didn't.
Ned doesn't leave her alone. So then I'm like, well, this is interesting too, because if he was really trying to get into his maybe dad's good graces, he wouldn't be sleeping with her,
Yeah,
but he does. But maybe he's just so smitten with her that he can't stay away. I don't
yeah.
know. But I did like his character a lot.
Well, it's even more convoluted than that because Steve tells Klaus that he's interested in her and that Klaus shouldn't go after her. But then Owen Wilson heard that.
Mm,
He overheard that, and then Steve was also like, "Oh, you heard me, so you really have no excuse." It's like
mhm.
this really roundabout way where like no one's talking to each other directly, but
Yeah.
then Steve is still getting mad at everyone despite
Mm.
that. It's
Mhm. And dude, you're married to someone else,
well,
and
yeah.
the woman that came up to you at the premiere is also like a girlfriend or something, and it's like, "What in the world, man?"
I don't aren't they? I
Yeah, because she said something about, "Oh, so now I have to." Angelica Houston said something like, "Oh, we're gonna do this right now," or something like that,
oh
and then somebody asked him, and he said, "Oh, yeah, we were." I don't remember if he said we were in love or something, but
oh
you got the feeling that they had been in a relationship. Um, yeah, I'm like, "Man, you're just bouncing from person to person."
yeah, yeah. He's a real playboy, I guess.
He is. He really is, but he's so awkward too. Like, he thinks so much of himself, but he's like, I don't know, and I don't even know how his crew feels about him.
Mm.
Um, like, that was a really interesting dynamic too. Like, they're all along with him, but I don't really feel like anybody is, like, really loving him, but they keep doing it, and they all wear the matching hats and the matching pajamas, which also cracked me up.
Yeah.
Everything matched all the time. But, yeah, I don't know. He was an interesting character.
He is an interesting character. I think
Yeah.
like I think the crew they've been doing this for a long time, and I think like maybe they've seen Steve deteriorate as a captain, but they're just
Mm,
like, oh well, we loved a guy, we're just gonna stick with it. But like there's
yeah.
that scene where they're watching the old movie and they're like, well, things are never gonna be that good again. I was like, well, that's
Mm,
kind of sad. They're all just like
yeah.
they're all in like their low points, but like they don't really know anything else at this point, and they don't have anything else, so they're kind of stuck with each other. Um,
Mhm.
which is why I think it's like important at the end where like Steve is like he kind of learns to like be a little bit better. Like, and
Mhm.
I feel like that flag change was like a big symbol of that, where it's like it isn't just Z. There's like a bunch of other people's
Mhm.
initials on there too. And even
Yeah.
like right before they go up on the or no, like I think after they go up on the helicopter, like Steve says, Klaus, me and Esteban always saw you as our little
Our
brother.
son. Yeah. Oh, yeah, little brother. Yeah.
And then he
That was
says,
sweet.
I saw you as my dad's.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really cute. I think the other part where you see a little bit of vulnerability on Steve's part after they've been attacked, and he draws that chalk line across the
Oh yeah.
the floor, but he says it the wrong way, and nobody knows
Well,
what
he
to
says
do,
it
but
so
at some
confusing.
I know. At some point, he's standing up there and he's like, "Don't you like me?" Or there was something like that where there was just this moment where he was like, it was a really vulnerable thing to say, and his voice got really quiet, like,
Yeah.
and I can't remember if it was "Don't you like me," but it was something to that effect, like, "Don't you like me anymore?" or something, and then he's like, Don't cross this line if whatever." And then everybody's like, okay, what does he mean exactly? Like, are we supposed to cross the line? Are we not supposed to cross the line? They're walking right up to the
Yeah.
line.
It was like, don't cross the line if you are, like, don't want to stay or something. So it was like
Yes.
this like double negative. It was super
Yes.
confusing. And yeah, I love that moment when like because
I did
Klaus is
too.
so eager. Like he's like the
Mhm.
most loyal and he like steps right
I
up and he's
know.
like standing tall, only for like this huge misunderstanding and
Yes. And then Steve's face is kind of like, even you?
yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute. I have never seen Willem Dafoe in anything funny before.
Really?
So that was really fun because I always think of
Oh.
him as the weird dude in Spider-Man.
Well, that's fair. He's great in
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
he's in well, I guess in Grand Budapest
Oh,
he's the heavy. I don't know if you
yeah.
remember. He gets his fingers chopped off. Or no, he chops Jeff Goldblum's fingers off.
I don't remember that at all.
There's
It's
this
been quite a while since we watched it.
he's the one that's hired by like the estate of the old lady that
Oh.
Ray Fiennes is like in love with
Mhm.
because like she leaves everything to him. And so like the family hires Willem Dafoe as like a hitman to track him down. And so
Ah.
like on the trail he chases I think it is Jeff Goldblum. And like Jeff Goldblum has his hands on the door and Willem Dafoe like slams it and then you just see like the fingers drop.
Ew.
And he's like he has like a big mole and he's acting all tough. It's like he's
Oh my
great.
gosh.
I think
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean, this movie, he was just so eager. It was
oh
the
yeah.
like people pleasing, like, I want to make you happy. Don't you love me? Please love me. You don't see that
No.
from any of his other performance, or at least any performances of his that I have seen. That like second in command, like I will do anything for you sort of character.
No, yeah, it is a weird role, but I think it works really well. I think that
Mhm.
he's not like the heart of the movie. I think that's probably Ned, but
Mhm.
Klaus has like the not the biggest arc. I guess I don't really know what I'm trying to say. he's he's a really great like side character, like a really great second in command,
Yes.
where you can tell that like maybe he's not completely used to it at first because like Esteban just died and Esteban was that role, but here he's like trying to take over and like he isn't like completely like good at it because he tries
No.
to intimidate Ned, but then like pretty much loses immediately because Ned
When he
stands up to him.
slaps him on the face.
Yeah. And then like he doesn't get it where Ned's like, we're square now. And he's like, no, I owe you one. And it's like, no, this was from before. And so like it's all like everything in this movie is like a miscommunication.
It is.
They never understand each other.
No.
Everyone says
No.
everything in the worst way possible. But
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that these people like care about each other a lot,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that definitely comes through, and I like that.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
I like any movie with a band of misfits. It's like this and like Ed Wood are like my two favorites
Mm,
of that, where it's just like a bunch of people that maybe wouldn't have a place anywhere else, but they have a place together. I always like
mm.
that.
I feel like Napoleon Dynamite's kinda like that
Oh,
too.
sure.
Like any or like Princess Bride,
Mm,
when you
yeah.
have Vezek and Inigo,
Hmm.
like those 2 where they're in this group with they have good hearts, but they've gotten in with the wrong guy. Like, I like anything like that that's like an underdog story.
Yeah.
Were you really rooting for them? And I don't know. I really like things that get you in the heart. And there, even though this is kind of weird and quirky, there are moments in this that
Yeah.
really do like some really, really sweet, poignant moments,
Hmm.
which I always love when it sneaks up on you like that. You just don't expect it. It
Absolutely.
was fun.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it is a lot of fun. Um, yeah, but I think the last thing we need to talk about is the music
Okay.
because The music, it's well, not all. There are actually a couple like David Bowie songs like
Mhm,
proper in this. I
mhm.
think the whole soundtrack is David Bowie songs, but most of them are covered by So George, a Brazilian. I actually don't know what type of music he makes. He's a Brazilian musical artist.
He's
Um,
speaking Portuguese,
he,
I know.
yes, he
Yeah,
translated all the David Bowie songs into Portuguese, and he
so
is the
cool.
one that like composed the covers, and he did all the work. They
I love
basically
that.
just Wes Anderson said, "I want David Bowie songs in here. Just do it."
Mhm.
And so that's what they did. And so it is really, really great because it's all live too, where it is just like
Oh,
him actually playing guitar on set. He's just singing. And that definitely has an atmosphere that carries through, where it's like people are just like, they genuinely want to hear this guy sing these songs because he's really good at it too. It's
really
like,
good.
it's it's like really impressive what he's able to do. I prefer these versions of the song over the David Bowie songs. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, well, no, you might get some pushback around that,
No,
but,
whatever.
not from me. I thought it was lovely.
Okay.
I, did he have any lines? I don't think he did. I think he was just singing the whole time, wasn't he? I don't even know if he had any lines. I can't think if
I
he
don't think
did.
so.
But so he sang it live on set. Do you know what that makes me think of?
Hmm.
That
Wicked?
makes me think of Wicked. You're I know you don't hate the movie, but you don't love it like I love it.
Mm-mm.
Um, anyway, I admire that a lot. Like um, sound engineering that has to happen, and you think especially on this where there's other things that would definitely compete with
Oh yeah.
like the one scene where it's raining and he's sitting out with his guitar on the, there's like a storm happening. He's just sitting out there. Yeah, he had what a great voice. And I liked that it was
Yeah.
kind of a transition thing throughout the entire movie. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, it's a nice little transition point between
Mhm.
scenes, but it's also like
Mhm.
a great accent for the comedy because like by halfway through the movie, we're pretty used to him like just playing songs like pretty
Mhm.
much everywhere all the time.
Mhm.
But when he's sitting on the back of the boat, he's supposed to be on lookout and he's playing that I forget what I think he's playing Space Oddity.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, because he says like ground control to Major Tom or whatever the Portuguese equivalent
Mm.
is as the ladder comes up. It's like
Yes.
perfectly timed. So
Yes.
it's a great little subversion because we're used to just like watching him and then we see the boats in the background and he's
Yeah.
just singing.
Yes. I'm like, dude, look behind you.
And I like too that like he and Ned are on guard duty, but Ned gets all the blame, even
Oh, he
though
totally did.
because but he was just playing guitar. He wasn't even doing his job. He was just sitting
No.
on the deck in unprotected waters, singing David Bowie songs.
Yeah. Yeah, I did really enjoy that a lot. I thought that was a nice touch to put in there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I don't know enough David Bowie to have even been able to recognize the songs. There are a couple
Oh,
I know the song "Fame."
sure.
I know the one that he did as a duet with, Mick Jagger from the '80s, but I
Dancing
don't
in the
know.
Street, I think.
Yeah, that's it. But I just don't know very many of his songs.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know that I would have even been able to pick out that they were David Bowie songs. I just thought they sounded nice. But somebody who would know the David Bowie songs would obviously recognize
Oh
it.
yeah.
Was there any lyrical significance to the actual scenes that he was playing? Were there any ties together? I don't know if that's something you thought about. Like,
I
was
have
there a
no
reason that
idea.
they played this song at this time
I
where
don't
it
know.
tied in with what was happening?
I barely listen to David Bowie. And by
Okay, so we're
barely, I
in the
mean
same.
I don't listen to him at all. I listen
Mm-mm.
to Ziggy Stardust as a part of me and Babby doing the top 50 Rolling Stone albums,
Mm, mhm.
but I have not listened to anything since.
Okay.
I know Babby is a big fan of Black Star, is
Mm,
David Bowie's last album, um, which I think came out after he died. But
okay.
aside from that, I don't know anything
Mhm.
about anything. I know he's in Fire Walk with Me, uh,
Mhm.
and he was supposed to be in the third season of Twin Peaks, but he died before that season went into production. So I think they replaced him with a tree.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, Well, I guess I've seen him do. Have you ever seen the video of him doing Little Drummer Boy with Bing Crosby?
I don't think so.
Oh, you should watch that sometime. I can't remember if that was on SNL or it was like Bing Crosby's Christmas special.
Oh,
But I mean, if you can imagine the two of them together, what an interesting pairing.
it is interesting.
And Bing Crosby was kind of known for being, well, of the time that he lived, basically. And so
Sure,
you can
that's a nice way
imagine
of putting it.
that David Bowie kind of was pushing the boundaries of what would normally be acceptable by Bing Crosby. So the fact that they had done this this performance of Little Drummer Boy together is,
Hmm.
but they sound great together. But
Wow.
I don't particularly love his voice. Like David Bowie's voice is not really my jam.
No, it's kind of high and shrill.
Yeah, I can't even put my finger on what it is that I don't care for about it. But
Hmm.
back in the old days when MTV was on, I would see his videos on MTV and stuff. And I always thought he looked super cool.
Yeah, he's got two
Um,
different colored eyes.
oh, oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he got into like a bar fight or something.
Oh,
And it like cut his like right here. So like they
oh.
had to I don't know if it's a glass eye or something, but he has two different colored eyes.
Oh, he wasn't born with 2 different colored eyes?
Mm-mm. It was like some complication with like him being
Huh.
cut there. They like
I
changed his
didn't
eye
know
color. Yeah.
I didn't know that could happen, although that did happen to you when you were 3 years old.
My eyes always they're getting more brown now and I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, when you were little until you were 3, they were blue, the brightest of blue. And then when you turned 3, they turned kind of a green hazel color like mine.
Hmm.
And now they're getting darker, huh?
Well, yeah, because they were like hazel, and then like
Mhm.
3 years ago, I noticed they were like green, like dark
Mm.
green.
Yeah.
And now I've noticed they're starting to go back to hazel. I'm like, man, I
Hmm.
liked the green.
Yeah, green's cool.
Yeah,
That's the rarest eye color. Do you know that?
I did not, but I'm losing it.
Yes.
That's too bad.
Well, sometimes they say your eye color changes depending on what you're wearing. Like it looks
Oh,
different, but so maybe it was just what you were wearing that day. Or do you keep looking in your eyes and they're just
I
always?
mean, I check every once in a while because they
Mhm.
change, and I'm like, that's weird. I feel like I should
Mine do
monitor
too.
this.
Yeah. I mean, mine are hazel too. Hazel is the second most least common.
Oh,
I think it goes green and then hazel is the next one. But mine, I feel like mine kind of look different at different times too. But I have never seen someone who's 3 years old have an eye color change. That's a weird time to have your eye color transition from blue to like straight on hazel. I remember one day looking at you going, "What in the world? You've always had blue eyes. All of a sudden you have these hazel eyes. That was so strange." Anyway,
I don't know what happened.
I don't either. But I
But-
think they're pretty. Your eyes are pretty. You have a pretty color.
well, thank you.
Anyway,
I
David Bowie has 2 different colored eyes.
He
That's how we got
does.
here.
And I found a quote
Uh-huh.
because I don't know if they asked David Bowie permission, but someone asked him after the movie came out what his thoughts were. Like, what did you
Mm.
think of the songs?
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I'll just read a little snippet. This is an article on Billboard.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because So George admitted to like changing the lyrics because like just because of
Mm.
how it worked in Portuguese.
Mhm.
Um, and like about that, he said, had So George not recorded my songs in Portuguese, I would never have heard this new level of beauty which he has imbued them with. So he was a big fan.
Wow. Oh, I
He liked
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
So there was a director's cut of this, and somebody said that anytime they were talking about David Bowie, they like bleeped his name out of it. I wonder if they didn't have permission to
Oh.
use his name. There was some sort of commentary on something, and they
Hmm.
were saying David Bowie's name was taken out, which made me think that maybe he wasn't happy with the fact that they were using his music. But I
Maybe.
don't know.
I'm not sure. That's
Um,
interesting. Well,
I
if he
think
wasn't cool with
I
it at
love
the
that quote.
time, he clearly changed
Well,
his mind.
yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, I love that he felt so I love that. That was
Yeah.
like a really nice quote.
It is a nice
That
quote.
was a really nice quote. But yeah, I feel like they were like bleeping his name out for some reason. But
Hmm.
I don't know if that was, if he was unhappy or what. It didn't really say.
I'm
But
not sure.
anyway,
I don't know. I didn't know there
I'm
was a
making a note.
director's cut. Because let me
Mhm.
get
There was something that was a commentary or something. Oh,
Uh,
you're getting your Criterion. Did you know? Well, you know because you have it. It's number 300 in the Criterion
it
collection.
is number 300. I
Yeah.
I think I didn't know that it was number 300. I know that
Yeah.
what is it? I think I have Devil's Backbone by
Mm.
Guillermo del Toro, and that's number 666. Mm,
Oh, that's perfect.
like that's funny.
I
that
love it.
movie's not satanic at all. It's about a ghost, but it's just because it has
Oh.
devil in the name.
Yeah, I had a
Uh,
guy come in to do a notary this week, and his driver's license started with 666, and then it was XX, and I was like, "Man, that's an easy driver's license number to remember." He's like, "I need to get that changed." I was like, "It's okay. I don't think you're the devil. You're fine."
yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah. I don't know, easy to memorize.
yeah. I'm looking. I don't know. There's deleted scenes.
Mm.
Um. Uh.
Not
There's
see anything that's behind the scenes or something like that.
there's a documentary about the film's production,
I think that might be it.
and then there's commentary by Anderson and Noah Baumbach.
Okay, I think I'm gonna look to see if I actually took a note on that. I don't think I did. Um, yeah, I didn't actually take a note, but I did read it at some point. I'll have to look into that and see.
Yeah, for next time.
For next time, for a recollection correction corner, I do have a couple other just fun little tidbits.
Okay,
This part was written for Bill Murray.
sure.
And they were like, there's really no one else who could play it. He had to leave the set for a short time to attend the Golden Globes, where he earned a Golden Globe for Lost in Translation. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That's the big year that he had at the award. I don't know that he's had a year like that again,
Mm-mm.
where he was nominated for things in very, the more hoity-toity kind of movies. So he left the set for a period of time for that, but he did do voice recording and acting for Garfield while on set on this movie.
On set?
That's what it
Oh,
said. Yeah. Like,
that's unfortunate.
yeah. And Angelica Houston said that she didn't get along with him.
That would make sense.
Yeah, but her husband died 5 years later. And she said he was one of the few celebrities who came to her husband's funeral,
Oh,
and that he was just really kind to her and really sweet. And it meant a lot to her that he was there.
Hmm.
So I thought that was nice.
that is nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Bill Murray's one of those, not quite Chevy Chase, but
Hmm.
leaning that direction. Like
Yeah.
nobody liked him.
Yeah. I love him so much. It makes
Oh,
me
he's
sad that
great.
he's like,
Yeah.
I love him in everything he's in. He just, oh, I don't know what it is about him. I just really like him. He had something, I read this too. He had something in his contract where um, they had to allow him time to listen to, I think the Cubs were in the playoffs that year or something. He's a huge
Oh,
Cubs fan.
yeah.
And it was obviously before the year that they won the World Series. And so were in the playoffs, and he had something written into his contract that he would be able to not work while the Cubs were playing.
That's fair.
I thought that was fun. Yeah. I know he's a big Cubs fan. I like that.
Yeah, because he's always at the games.
Yeah. He's sung the Take Me Out to the Ball Game quite a few times over there. Yeah. Yeah. Just your dad's such a Cubs fan. That's the only reason I know that.
Well,
But
sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Him and I think no, wait. No, not Tim Robinson. I think Bob Odenkirk goes there too, because he's from
Oh,
Chicago.
yeah. He spent some time in Chicago. And Jake Johnson from New
Oh,
Girl and Ride the Eagle and all that kind of stuff. He is a Chicago guy, and he's a huge Cubs fan. So,
yes. I was thinking,
and
okay, Tim Robinson is at, what's the
are you thinking
Detroit?
Tim Robbins?
No, Tim Robinson, the I Think You Should Leave guy.
Oh,
What's the Detroit baseball team?
Detroit? Tigers?
Yeah, he goes to those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
The
I think
Detroit
he's from
Tigers.
Detroit.
Okay.
I got him
Yeah, there's so
twisted.
many Chicago people. I feel
Oh yeah,
like there are a lot of regulars that are over there.
I like
Um,
that though.
I do too. I do too. And there's something about like that original stadium is really fun.
Hmm.
Years ago, your dad and I did that tour. I don't know if you remember that. We did a behind the scenes tour of the Cubs. And to me, it's like, oh, yeah, this is fun, but it's not really my ride or die situation, but it is his ride or die situation. And he actually got teary when we went out on the field and he touched the grass, his
Oh.
eyes. And this was back in the days when he didn't cry. Like, or like he was standing over by the drinking fountain that's down in the dugout, and
Mm.
or we sat in Ron Santos's chair up in the press box. Like,
Oh,
it was just the coolest experience. Um, to be able to be all those places that he's watched his whole life. Like, it was really a wonderful, wonderful day.
that
And
is
it
cool.
wasn't even that thrilling for me. It was watching him be excited about the experience. So if anybody is a Cubs fan out there, and that they do a really great behind the scenes, you get to go in the locker room and everything. It's super cool.
Oh, that is sweet.
Yeah. It was really neat. They only do them when they're out of town.
Oh,
So
sure.
if they're doing away games, then the stadium, or the yeah, stadium is free. And so they take you everywhere in there. It's really
That's
fun.
cool. I didn't know they
Yeah,
did
it was
that.
cool. It's very cool.
Hmm. Well, did you have any other tidbits?
That's it for my tidbits.
Okay.
I have no other tidbits. I enjoyed it. Here's the thing. I rated it, and then I feel like after we talk about things, then I always want to bump them up. So I should wait to rate until after you and I talk about things, because sometimes
Okay.
processing through um, makes me reconsider things.
Well, what did you rate it? And then what would you rate it now?
I rated it at a 3, which I think I enjoyed it. It wasn't like my most favorite movie ever, but I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I would bump it up to a 3.5 probably. I think I would want it. Yeah, I think I'd bump it up to a 3.5. A 4, it has to be really good in my book
Mm.
for a 4. And I really did enjoy it. But I feel like a 3 is too low. I'm going to bump it up a half star. I
Okay.
saw what you rated it. You say what you rated it.
I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was
And
fantastic.
yeah, for some reason I thought you had it at 4.5. No, just 4.
I thought it was 4.
There's someone else that I follow. Maybe that other person had it at a 4.5.
Let me see. I thought I just rated it 4. I think it was, yeah, it's 4. I rated it
Okay.
3.5 before, and I upped
Oh,
it.
okay.
I think my review this time was just like Owen Wilson needs to be remembered for more than just being the wow guy.
Yeah. Well, I think uh I could see a second watching making it a higher rating too, because you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I always feel like the first time through, I'm trying to keep up with the plot and track what's happening. I feel like once you kind of know the basic arc of a movie and you watch it a second time, then you're catching all of the little details that go into telling that story.
Yeah.
And knowing the whole story and then going back just makes a big difference. So I feel like that happens a lot with you.
Oh, yeah.
Um, where you have it rated at something and then you watch it a second time and you're like, oh yeah, I liked this so much more the second time, and you bump it. So
Yeah.
I could see that happening. So that makes sense to me that you would do that.
That's usually why, if I feel like a movie's perfect, I usually give it 4.5. And I
Mm,
wait. If it holds up and improves on the second, then I'll bump it up.
okay.
Unless it's like I get an immediate emotional reaction,
Mm,
like The Wild
mhm,
Robot recently,
mm.
or Awakenings is another movie I just watched that I gave 5 stars.
I know you did. Oh, that was such a good movie. I was talking to my phone when I was listening to it saying, oh,
Jerry.
it was so good. It was such a good movie. That was a huge hit
Oh,
at the
oh,
time.
I didn't, because I never heard of it. I'm like, why aren't
Yeah.
more people talking about this? It's so good.
It was big at the time, but I don't feel like it's really stayed out there.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, that movie was very, very popular at the time
Yeah.
and very well received. It was kind of one of the first more dramatic roles for Robin Williams.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
he's great in it. Him and
yeah,
De
it was
Niro.
so good. Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that it's, based on a true story. I think anytime, I don't know, I'm watching the show Man on the Inside right now on Netflix with Ted Danson. It's a Mike
Okay.
Schur. You should also watch this, Alex. It will get Jerry. It'll get you right in the heart, right
Okay.
in the heart. Write down the timestamp right now.
I'm going. I'm going.
um, but it's a Mike Schur show,
Hmm.
and so it's got so many good people in it. And I was showing it to someone, and there was like a little synopsis written up, and it said based on a true story. And I was like, oh no, now I love it even more. When you know it's a true story, it just hits different. But oh my goodness, that show is so great. It will just, I don't
It's a
know.
good one.
There's something about lovable characters, found family, people who care about each other, watching the growth that people, the way they learn from others. And oh gosh,
Hmm.
this is a treasure. So
Oh,
if you have not watched it, definitely put it on your list along with Shrinking.
I know. I mean, it does sound like my jam.
Oh,
I
you
need
would
to.
love it.
Yeah, I'm
And they're
sure I
30
will.
minutes. They're like not super long. There's only 8 of them.
Oh,
Um, and it has Ted Danson in it. And
I
it,
love
and it
Ted
has the
Danson.
guy that played God from The Good Place, and it has Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Oh,
and it has the woman that played, I'm pretty sure it's her, who played Shug in The Color Purple,
oh,
the singer from The Color Purple. And it has Sally Struthers from All in the Family in it. I mean, it has so many good people.
okay.
I'm like, oh gosh, Mike Schur. And Mike Schur, I feel like his TV, his shows have this and it like fantastic ensembles always, but they have such heart. And I feel like they're filmmakers you and I have talked about who are like, oh, there's always like so much heart in this show,
Oh yeah.
where there may be conflict and stuff, but seeing characters care about each other and having just like this really um this undercurrent of kindness and joy. I feel like that is Mike Schur. Parks and Rec, like The
Hmm.
Good Place, all of those. Ugh, I'm such a fan. I just think he's so great. So when I found out it was Mike Schur, I was like, 100% I'm watching that. And Ted Danson is my dreamiest of dreamy. I have been in love with him since Cheers. Oh my gosh, I love Ted
I
Danson.
love Ted Danson
Anyway.
and his one skit on Tim and Eric.
Oh, really? No, I've not seen that. One skit on Tim and Eric, huh?
Yeah, it's oh, I don't even know if I can really explain what goes on. It's they're doing a special where there's like two movies that they're doing fake trailers for. The first one
Mm.
is called Little Dancing Man, and it's Zach Galifianakis, who's a guy who breaks his legs and learns how to dance again.
Oh my gosh.
And then the other movie that they do is called Little Dancing Man, where it's Ted Danson, but he gets shrunk down. He becomes a little guy.
Oh,
And
that's funny.
and I think David Cross is the one that like becomes his
Oh,
agent and starts selling him as like an act. And then there's a song from Peter Cetera that plays in
mm.
the trailer. It's like it's weird.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love Ted Danson.
Oh, he's
Yeah, I
great.
remember as a little girl just like being so smitten with him. And then he was in Three Men and a Baby. Oh, him and Tom Selleck and Steve Guttenberg. And then I was like so smitten because I love Tom Selleck too. So that was wonderful. And then he was in Becker and we watched Becker. It just seems like anything he's in, I'm going to watch it
Oh, he's
just
great.
because I like him so much. So anyway, when I saw he was in this and then I saw it was Mike Schur and I was like, 100% I'm in on this thing. I'm so pumped. So your dad and I have 2 episodes left.
Nice.
And I just keep saying, oh my gosh, I love this so much. I'm sitting there saying it out loud. It's fantastic. Anyway, great, great, great show. Definitely watch it.
Well, there's our plug. Check
Yeah.
out that show. Um,
Yep.
did you have recollection correction for this one?
I do have recollection correction corner happening over here. We had
Okay.
talked about David Lynch's passing. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and you had talked about that quote that was in the Fablemans about the horizon
Oh, yeah, yeah.
when he was playing John Ford. So I wanted to know, like, is that something that Spielberg just wrote for the movie or,
Hmm,
was it a John Ford quote? So basically, Steven Spielberg was a huge fan of John Ford, huge
sure.
fan. And Peter Bogdanovich did a documentary about John Ford called Directing by John Ford.
Hmm.
Okay. And he interviewed Steven Spielberg for that documentary.
Oh,
And Steven Spielberg talks about meeting John Ford, who was his hero. And so the quote from the movie is based on that
oh,
conversation, something that John Ford shared with him when they had met and had that conversation. So it's not
interesting.
an exact quote, but he does attribute it to him. When you watch the documentary, it's not exactly the same as what it was in the Fablemans, but very, very similar.
Okay.
So it is at least the idea of John Ford, whether it's an exact quote or not.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's the story about that, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing we were talking about, you were talking about Blade Runner,
Yes.
and that it was based on the book called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Hmm.
And Philip K. Dick, you were right, is the author of that. Good job. I
He's the
was
only
trying to
one who
find out
have a
if it
title
was,
like that.
I mean, yes. Yeah, interesting dude.
Mm.
So I wanted to know if it was a series. That was my big thing, because
Ah.
I thought it was part of a series. It is not. There is a graphic novel series that was created based on the book,
Oh.
but it is not the original. So the graphic novel series, yes, there are multiple
Mm.
multiple issues of that, but it is a standalone novel. But just as a side note, Philip Dick has written 44 novels and 5 short story collections. So he's a very prolific writer.
Oh yeah.
But that particular book is not part of a series.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
I know we did such a good job last time.
How do we do
I'm
this
proud of
time? Do you
us.
have a bunch of questions?
The only thing I have is I wanted to do a little more digging on David Bowie to find out about
Oh.
that. If his name, where that was, that it was blurred out, what that was.
Oh.
That's the only thing. And then I have a note to tell myself to go listen to Jamaica Farewell.
Very good song.
Yes. And then I also have a note to say I'm going to make you watch the Bing Crosby, David Bowie, Little Drummer Boy as soon as we get off of here.
Okay.
Those are my notes today. That's it.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad
Yeah.
then.
No.
Well, then I guess if you're all done with recollection correction, we can go on to what we are going to be doing next time.
Yes. I'm so
And it's
excited
your
about this
pick.
one. It's my pick. Okay. So I was inspired by a conversation that you had on your other podcast. This would be a great time for you to plug your other podcast. Go ahead.
The Boy Time podcast, where we talk about all sorts of other things, including.
Including the fact that you had listened to John Denver's greatest hits, or
No.
was it just like a bunch of his songs, or what was the story on that?
I listened to a John Denver album.
Yes.
It was, let me pull it up. I think it's Back Home Again. Yes, Back Home Again, 1974. A great album. Check it out.
Yes, you liked it.
Mhm.
I liked that you liked it. So John Denver played a large part of my childhood because he was in, I remember him being on the Muppets.
Yes,
And
very good
that is
episode
like
of that
something that
show.
is seared in my brain. That was a good episode. Is that what you said?
Hmm.
Was it the Muppet Show or the movie?
He's in the Muppet
Do you
Show.
remember?
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, he had an episode on the Muppet Show. I just remember seeing him with Kermit and stuff. Anyway, so I was hearing you talk about how you enjoyed that, and then I was like, oh, but my very most favorite, and the reason that he is so upfront in my memory is from the 1977 movie Oh God, with John Denver and George Burns.
All right.
And that is what we're going to watch, you guys.
Okay.
So fun.
Now, I don't really know much about this movie. Actually, the only thing I know about it is that John Denver is in it.
Yep.
And I believe Ben Schwartz and Amir Blumenfeld used it in a sketch of theirs from 15 years
Oh.
ago, because they had a bit where they were doing these sketches where they were having competitions with each other, but at the beginning they were like making references and then they pull the DVD out of like the line that they just referenced. So like
Mm.
they're like, oh God, I don't know if I can finish this sandwich. And they're like, wait, why? Like, why not? And he's like, no, I'm talking about my DVD copy of Oh God with George Burns. So that's the only thing
Oh.
I know about Oh God.
Okay. Well, first of all, no, second of all, I love Ben Schwartz. And what's the other guy's name?
Amir
The people that do.
Blumenfeld.
Oh man, their improv is just next level. I love them.
No, the guy that he does it with is Tom
Oh.
Middleditch.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, Middleditch. Yes, Middleditch and Schwartz.
Yes.
They had like.
That's their comedy special
Okay.
on
I'm
Netflix.
thinking of someone else. Okay. got it. So what is this that you're talking about? Was it like a show like on YouTube or something?
So one of my favorite web shows is a show called Jake and Amir.
Mm.
Very influential on my comedy style. Uh,
Mhm.
but him and Ben Schwartz like was in those like early, like in 2008, 2009.
Oh,
He was
wow.
just, and I mean that was a part of like the original like college humor troupe that
Mm.
was going on in that period.
Mhm.
And so he was in a bunch of those Jake and Amir videos, and then him and Amir had these like side things that they were doing for college humor where they were doing these competitions together.
Okay.
And they always reference DVDs and
They're
weird
so
stuff
good.
like that. It's
Like
fun.
Ben Schwartz is just that's like a callback to Mike Schur because he's on Parks and Rec, isn't he?
Yeah, he plays
John
John Ralphio.
Ralphio. Yes. Oh gosh, that's fun. Yeah, I've been getting fed his videos with he's doing improv with the dude from Superstore, and I do not know that guy's name,
Oh,
but he's the guy that was in the wheelchair in Superstore.
hmm.
Um, and a woman who I've never seen before. Anyway, they've been giving me clips, and I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot how much I like his improv.
Oh,
He's so
he's
good.
great. Yeah,
Um, anyway, where were we going? Oh yes,
oh
okay. Oh
God.
God.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So George Burns plays God. George Burns plays God, and
Oh, nice.
he's a cigar smoking. I don't know. Kind of like think of it as a precursor to our good friend Morgan Freeman's portrayal in Bruce Almighty. Sort of a similar thing where,
Okay.
you have a God character, you have another character who, is, um, in crisis. And now I can't tell you all the plot points because, I mean, I probably haven't seen this since 1980, I'm guessing.
Okay.
So I can't tell you much about it. I just can tell you how much I loved it. And George Burns, like would have been he was huge in radio back in the days of radio and very early TV with his wife, Gracie, George and Gracie.
Hmm.
And she always, she played really stupid, like the dingback bat sort of role. And
Hmm.
he was more the straight man of the two of them. He was more the straight man, and she was the funny person. But I never really knew him in that context. As a kid, I just knew him as God. So,
Sure.
um, and there's a second one called "Oh God, You Devil."
Yeah.
No, there might
The,
be three of them.
there's
Is there three?
three. Yep.
Okay,
There's.
so it's Oh God 2, which has a really cute little girl in it. And this is when I first learned about Chinese food. And she would go to the Chinese food restaurant and she would always order egg foo young. And I was always like, I need to try this. I don't know I'd never had Chinese food before. And this egg foo young was so interesting. And she would get fortune cookies and he would talk to her through her fortune cookies. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Oh.
that is so cool. I had never seen a fortune cookie.
Hmm.
Like, I know that's hard to imagine today when there's a proliferation of Chinese and Vietnamese restaurants.
Sure.
But back in the late 70s, early 80s in Des Moines, there just were not very many.
Sure.
And so it was something that I had not been exposed to. So that second one, I loved the little girl because she was so cute and she was eating Chinese food all the time. And I loved that. And then the third one has the guy who played, oh, I'm going to say this, but I don't know that it's right. I think it's the guy that played the dad in the show. What was the name of that show? Oh my gosh, I just lost it. It was on the tip of my tongue and I lost it.
Is it
Anyway, he
Blossom?
played huh?
Blossom?
Yeah, he was the dad on Blossom, wasn't he? Are you looking it up? Was he in a TV show called Rags to Riches?
Um,
Are you looking at his IMDb?
I'm looking at Ted Wass's IMDb.
I'm pretty sure that's him. He was like the lead.
I don't see From Rags to Riches in here.
Okay. Maybe that was a different person. They looked very similar. Oh, Rags to Riches was so good. Um, Anyway, in that one, it's a guy who wants to be a famous musician, and so he sells his soul to the devil. So in that one,
Oh.
George Burns plays the devil and God, and they war against each other. They're fighting over this guy who wants to be famous so badly that he sold his soul.
Oh,
So
wow.
there are three sagas happening. Um, anyway, fantastic. But the first one has John Denver, and that's the one we're going to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Long and short.
I I'm looking up George Burns. Did you know he lived to be 100?
Oh, he was old. Yeah,
That's
when did he
crazy.
die?
1996, born in
Oh, wow.
1896.
Sheesh. Yeah, he was really old. It was kind of like a Betty White situation where everybody's like,
Yeah.
"Don't let George Burns die," because he had just gotten so old. It was like a joke,
Yeah.
kinda like Betty.
Wow,
He
that's
was
crazy.
beloved.
And
Yeah.
I have another fun fact. Well, first of all, George
Please.
Burns was also on The Muppet Show. So there's
Oh,
a
no, I
connection
don't
there.
remember that. Okay.
But also, John
Yes.
Denver and the Muppets have a collab album together.
I had that.
Okay. I,
I
ju-
had that
I,
right here. This girl,
I just
I
saw
had
that
it.
on John Denver's Spotify page. John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together.
Yes. 'Cause he in my mind, I was like, "Oh, yeah, Christmas Carol." He was in A Christmas Carol, but no, that was, Michael Caine that
Yeah.
was in The Muppets Christmas Carol. John Denver, yes, Miss Piggy does, "Christmas is coming, the goose is getting
Oh
fat."
yeah.
That's on that album.
Oh.
Yeah, we had it on as a record. Oh, I should see if my brother can find that for us.
Probably can.
I 'Cause I would like that. That was very much a part of my childhood. Um, yeah, I
That's
bet he could
crazy.
get that for us. We'll have to have him, like, keep his eyes peeled for it.
Probably. You can just go to any like dollar bin at a record store. There's probably going to be 5 copies of it.
I'm sure. So maybe he has one at his store. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Maybe. But I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it
I
is,
didn't know
isn't
that.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good like, that was the Christmas record that I listened to as a kid. Like,
Wow.
my most favorite. It has a great playlist or a great set list on there.
Huh.
A set list, a playlist, a great lineup, a great what would you say?
Track list?
Track list. That would be a better word. Oh, I couldn't think of it. Anyway, yes. Oh God, John Denver, George Burns. It's gonna be great. You're
All
gonna love
right.
it.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see John Denver on the big screen. Um,
Do you know what he looks like? Like, have you ever
yeah,
really
he looks
okay.
nerdy.
He's very nerdy. He
He's a
was a
big
hippie.
dork. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
very much a hippie
I like that.
pacifist, I think. I
He
think he was, like, really into the,
he's a great
uh,
guy.
very, soft-spoken. He seemed like just a very nice person. When
Yeah,
he was on doing movies and, like, on The Muppet Show, he just seemed so nice. I don't
yeah.
know. Sometimes you see people like that.
I know he was a huge environmentalist and
Mm.
humanitarian, big
Mhm.
activist, like fighting for
Mhm.
human rights. Just like a really, really nice guy. It seems like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
and
I'm
his death
excited.
was really tragic. I can't remember if it was a plane accident or something.
Oh yeah, of course. It's a plane. Every single musical artist, there's like a 50-50 chance that it's a plane crash. I don't know why
Yeah.
these people keep getting in planes. They never
I know.
should.
I know. Is that right, though?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought. He wasn't very old, like, in his 40s, maybe?
something like that. It was in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah,
I would have thought earlier than that. That's interesting.
I think. I looked him
Um,
up when I listened to that album.
yeah,
Let me see.
yeah,
Yeah,
see if you can find it.
1997. He was 53.
Oh, 53. Okay.
Hmm.
That he lived longer than I thought he did. Yeah, people were very sad because he was very loved.
Oh,
People
he's
really
great.
yeah, people really liked him.
Yeah, his real name is crazy.
What is his real name?
Henry John Duschendorf.
Oh, boy. Yeah, John Denver's much better.
Yeah, I agree.
'Cause didn't he sang Country Roads too, didn't
Mhm.
he? I know that's
Yeah, he did that. And he did Leaving on a Jet Plane, Annie's
yeah,
song, which,
yep.
by the way, a quick plug for the Leaving on a Jet Plane with
Yeah.
Mama Cass Elliot duet with him. So
Oh.
G dang good.
No, I love her.
Wait, have you not seen that?
Leaving on no, we're gonna watch
Oh,
that and Bing Crosby
okay.
when we're done.
It's very good. Um,
Oh, yeah, I love her.
yeah, it's one of those. I feel bad because I think I've shown a couple people it, but you can tell that like like whoever was doing it was on some show. They didn't want her on camera. I'm like, that
Oh.
sucks because she basically does the harmonies during the choruses. So like
Hmm.
it's just like a one shot of John Denver, and then like she pops in, and then she leaves, and then she pops in,
Oh,
and I'm like, she's
I
like
see.
so G dang talented. Like
She
why?
is.
And like
Yes.
you can tell when you're watching it, like John Denver's uncomfortable. He's like I don't
Oh,
like, you can tell that he's like, "I don't this shouldn't be how it is." Like,
yes.
it's
That was a
uh,
different time for sure.
it
So much
was
fat shaming and things. It's not
so sad.
it's really bad. Yeah, I so many times I go back and watch well, even like I'm still watching A Different World.
Okay.
Um, which I still am loving so very much, but there's so much like they'll specifically say, "Oh my gosh, you're going to end up being a blah 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 blah." I'm not going to say pound woman if you keep eating like that,
Oh,
and they'll give like a specific number, and
oh,
I'm like, "Oh, that's hurtful because." Like,
yeah,
oh, if you imagine how you feel watching that and you're being so specific and saying, using it in such a derogatory way, that
yeah.
that sort of stuff just doesn't age well
It
at all. So that makes me
exactly.
sad for her.
It does. I mean, her whole life is so tragic, which is
It really
it's so
is.
sad because she's so gee dang good.
Can't think of the song that she sang. There's a song that sounds like it's an old 40s song. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, where she's singing it on her own. And it
Mm.
is so, so good. It's one of my favorites. But her voice is so rich and wonderful. Like I just really, really. And then I think, did I have you watch a few years ago, watch the Mamas and the Papas on, I think it was Ed
Yeah,
Sullivan.
on Ed
I
Sullivan.
forget the background story on this. So they
Oh,
wanted them to lip sync and they didn't want to. They wanted to play live.
oh,
And, but they were like, "No, you're going to lip sync." And so that's why they were like eating bananas when they were supposed to be singing and like not saying the words half the time. Like they
mm,
did that on purpose because they were mad that they were being forced to lip sync their song. I was
I
like,
could
"Oh
see
my God,
that.
well, I thought they were just high as a kite. I thought they were like totally,
Yeah,
you
maybe
know,
a little bit of column
they
A, a
could have
little
been
bit of
both."
column B. Yeah,
Yeah, it could have been. But when I heard that, I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. Like, why in the
yeah.
world would she be eating a banana when she's supposed to
While
be
she's
singing?
supposed to be. Yeah,
It
that
felt a
makes
little over
sense.
the top. Yeah, so I think they were trying to make a statement, like, we really wanted to perform this live. Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
I get it.
I've I have been a big Mamas and Papas fan since I was a little kid,
No,
so
they're great.
yeah.
But
Dream a Little Dream.
oh,
That's what it is.
oh,
It's Dream a Little Dream of Me. Have you ever
that would
heard
be
that
good.
song
I don't,
before?
not by her.
Well, we're gonna add that to the list too.
I,
Look at us. We're gonna have a whole listening party after this.
it's pretty late. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff we're gonna watch, but
Well, our watchers slash listeners should go out and listen to those three songs. I'll give you a recap of what we're going to go listen to. We're
okay.
going to go listen to Little Drummer Boy by Bing Crosby and David Bowie. And that is a visual that is on Bing Crosby's Christmas special, I believe, but you can definitely find it on YouTube. And Leaving on a Jet Plane with Mama Cass and John Denver.
Hmm.
And then also Jamaica Farewell by Harry Belafonte. And then
Oh,
Dream a Little Dream of Me by Mama Cass. There we go. 4 songs.
wait, are
Go
we
check them
listening
out.
to Jamaica
No,
Farewell?
you don't have to because I know
Oh,
you know it, but I'm just saying if people want to listen to the
oh,
songs that we have made mention of, those
okay.
would be the 4. I will listen to Jamaica Farewell maybe on my way to work tomorrow. Is it a happy song or a sad song?
I don't. It's. I don't know. I don't think it's really a sad song or a happy song.
Okay. Okay, good. Because I don't want anything sad on my way to
Oh
work. It's hard
no,
enough.
it's just like a chill tropical vibe.
Okay. I
It's
like that.
nice.
I will listen to it on my way to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Well, this was fun. Oh God, next week, 1977. Let's go back in time.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's not anything that's super offensive in it. I don't know. We'll just
Uh,
keep it in its context.
I guess we'll see.
Yes.
I don't know. John Denver's involved. I don't know. I can't see it being too terrible.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope
I
not.
don't think there would be overt racism with John Denver being there, but I don't know.
You never know. You just never
Yeah,
know what you're going to come across when you see old stuff. But you know it when you see it.
that's true. I thought that Mickey Rooney was like the paragon of virtue, and then I saw Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah, not good. Well,
No.
and even like Thoroughly Modern Millie, the musical that has Julie Andrews and Mary Tyler Moore in it. Oh my gosh, it has a lot of anti-Asian sentiment and like really racist stuff in it.
Oh, sure.
And they just did a revival of that on Broadway a few years ago with Sutton Foster.
Oh,
And it's like, oh gosh, I don't know. Ew, it's not- As a kid, I didn't know it, and now I watch it and I'm like, "Oh gosh, that's not good.
Yeah.
That is not good at all."
Speaking of, do you remember how they switch bodies in the Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis Freaky Friday?
No,
It's a fortune
no.
cookie. They go to a Chinese restaurant and they're fighting, and then the waitress is like an old Chinese woman,
Oh,
and
no.
she gives them like a magic fortune cookie with Asian mysticism that switches their bodies.
Really?
And for contrast, the original one,
Okay, that was
uh,
gonna be my next question. I was trying to think of the Jodie Foster version.
the original
Okay.
one, it just like there's like some like flashing lights, and then like there's a highlight over their body. It's never really explained.
Huh.
It's just like, whatever. They switch bodies. But for some
'Cause they
reason,
wished it.
yeah, in the 2000s, they were just like, oh,
Hmm.
there needs to be a logical explanation in here. Let's bring the Chinese mysticism in here. That would just
Oh
explain
my
it away.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Have you seen the original with Jodie Foster?
I don't think I've seen the original now.
Oh, wow. I loved that's another person I really loved as a kid, Jodie Foster. She was in a show called Candle Shoe,
Mm,
which is a Disney movie. And I just thought she was so cool. She was so smart and she was like this really um she had a lot of gumption.
oh,
She
sure.
did her own thing. I don't know. I liked that about her. I loved that show. It had Helen Hayes in it, which I didn't realize at the time. She was like an Oscar winner,
Oh,
Helen Hayes. Well, and so was Jodie Foster, I guess, you know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, she was like this amazing former uh I don't know. I think she was after silent movies, but
Mhm,
not much. Like she was old even in that
sure.
show in the 70s, but dang, Candle Shoe. That was a good one. It was a mystery. I think David Niven was in it too, who was also an Oscar winner.
Oh,
For I think he was in Around the World for 80 Days, but I don't think that's what he won for. Anyway, okay. Sorry.
it's okay. Jodie Foster is also the reason that John Hinckley tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan.
Yes,
That's pretty
this I
cool.
know. Yeah. I remember seeing an interview with her where she felt a lot of guilt over that. Like it
Ah,
really messed with her
it
to
did.
feel like she was in some way it made her feel like tangentially she was
I
in
don't.
some way responsible. It made her feel bad
I
as a person to
I
think that
guess
someone would do that.
I guess I could see that. I don't know.
I mean, he was trying to impress her. He was trying to
Yeah,
get her attention because he was obsessed with her.
yeah, because
And so I think she
he saw her
yeah.
in Taxi Driver where she was playing a 14-year-old prostitute, and he
And
fell in
she
love
was
with
so
her.
young.
Yeah,
I mean, gross.
it's gross all around.
Yeah. All around.
Yeah.
But yeah, in some way, I mean, I could see that where you felt, I mean, obviously you didn't have any part in it, but
Oh, yeah.
I could see where you were connected in some way and it would make you feel bad that that happened, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I if someone tried to kill any politician on my behalf, I would be like, "That's a really weird choice. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, just send me a DM," which I guess you couldn't do
Yeah.
in the 80s.
No, you couldn't. And also, like, he wanted somebody who was high profile. And how much
Oh,
more high profile are you going to get than Ronald Reagan in the 1980s?
that's
Like,
true.
you're going to make the news if that
And he
happens.
did. And he recently got out of jail
Really?
last
I
year.
didn't
And
even know he was still alive.
yeah, and he started making weird experimental folk music.
Oh, wow.
I've
Wow.
I've not listened to it. I've heard mixed
Uh-huh.
things.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's a real left turn right there.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
huh, that's interesting. I didn't even know he was still alive. I don't know how I
Mm,
missed that he was even released from jail.
yeah.
I will say, go ahead.
Well, it was either like last year or the year before.
Mm, okay.
Yeah. When you search him, his like it says like John Hinckley Jr., American musician. Like that's what he's
What?
most known for.
Wow.
That's
That's
funny.
Bananaramas. I
Yeah.
have to tell you, so I was talking to my daughter Jenna is in England with her boyfriend Stanley right now, and I was talking to them yesterday, and Stanley was saying he's only heard the first few episodes of the show. He's like, "Do you do anything more with James Earl Jones? I love your deep dives on James Earl Jones." I'm like, "No." we've moved on, but we do randomly do deep dives about people for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Well, maybe Stanley's a fan of John Hinckley Jr.
I don't see that, but I could see him being a fan of, well, I don't know if he's really into music or not. I could see him being into like the Mamas and the Papas or David Bowie. He's English. Maybe he's a fan of David Bowie.
Yeah, he probably
I
knows
guess we'll
more
find
about that
out
than
when
we
he
do.
watches it. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe he'll let us know when he watches it. I don't know.
But I think that'll do it for this
Okay.
episode. Next time, we will be doing Oh God with George Burns and John Denver. If you want to check out some of our other videos, we've done a lot of other movies, a lot of different kinds of movies. So we've definitely got something for everybody.
There's definitely a trend. It's like you do these really cerebral kind of artsy fartsy, like movies
guess.
that are in the Criterion collection. Let's say that.
Sure.
My movies have not been in the Criterion collection.
Well, American Fiction might someday.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I did do one that was like more cerebral for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of
But
surprised when you picked that one, honestly. I was like,
yeah.
oh, this isn't some weirdo made for TV movie from the 1980s.
These weren't made for TV. They were for real and they did well at the box office. Oh God, you was a huge hit. Obviously, they made 3 of them. Break In, they made 2 of them.
I know. But you're always like the apple dumpling gang. I'm just waiting for you to drop that one.
I know, I'm waiting very anxiously. I was talking to my sister about, she was saying, oh yeah, I have extra copies of these 2 movies. I'm not going to say what they are. And I'm like, oh, you can't let
Jerry.
watch those. You can't let Jerry watch those yet because I'm going to make him watch them another time. So won't let him watch them. At least one of them.
Okay.
One of them for sure. But anyway, okay. That is all I have to say. I'm obviously losing it. It's 8:47 at night, and we just did a time change. So
That's right. Yeah. Today is the
well, so
daylight savings
that would
day.
mean it's only 7:47.
Still feels late.
Oh, it does. I'm so tired today. Oh man. Okay.
Well, then we'll just cut this off. I already plugged Boy Time, so
You
check
did.
it out if you want to. Talk about all sorts of movies. I'm talking about Elvis movies.
I'm so excited about that.
The first episode of that is out right now, where I talk about Love
Yeah.
Me Tender. I just watched Loving You today.
You did?
I sure
Okay,
did.
well, we talked about that at lunch today. Sorry, this will be a very, very short tangent. We
Okay.
talked about at lunch today that you're starting to watch Elvis movies, and my
Oh,
cousin Tracy said her favorite Elvis movie is Viva Las Vegas because she loves Anne Margaret,
sure.
and Kara's favorite is Blue Hawaii, like I said the other day when you and I were talking. So
Yeah.
those are their favorites. I have never seen one. So when you come across one that you're like, Mom, you would really love it, tell me and I'll watch it.
None of the ones that I have seen so far. Of the 2 I've seen, I don't think you would like either of them.
Okay.
I don't really like either of them.
Oh.
Loving You was a very steep drop off, I think, from Love Me
Mhm.
Tender. Sorry to say. But I was also
Oh.
watching it on like this free streaming service that was doing ads literally every
Ugh.
10 minutes. So it was like an
No.
hour 40 and like there was what, 10 ad breaks?
No.
And I had to
That's too
put up
many.
with it. That was like the only way. You couldn't rent it any.
Oh.
That's the trick with these old Elvis movies. I don't know if they're going to be on anything, even to
Mm-mm.
rent.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, you may start getting in as you're getting into his later movies that weren't as popular. I would imagine you're probably going to have trouble
yeah, I'm gonna have to dredge
getting
through
them.
the internet archive. Um,
Mhm.
but if you want to hear my thoughts on, I guess the most recent one is Love Me Tender, and I also talked about Red River,
Mm.
the Howard Hawks Western. Um,
Mm.
I pair
Okay.
that's something I'm doing where I'm trying to pair these Elvis movies with like a real movie counterpart.
Mm. That's
Um,
good. I think that's a great idea because then it gives you something more to talk about.
yeah. So I think I
Yeah.
talked about Love Me Tender for about 15 minutes, and I talked for half an hour about how much I hate John Wayne and just casual Native American
Oh.
murder. I was very angry. I think
Mhm.
it was like the reverse of this podcast for you, where I went into the podcast with a star and a half, and I dropped it to 1 star
Oh, you did.
because I
Oh
got
my
so fired up.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, John Wayne, my grandpa was a huge fan. He had like a statue of John Wayne in his basement that I remember very vividly
Oh, jeez.
as a kid. He loved John Wayne, was his most favorite person ever, but he is not my most favorite
Oh,
person ever. And in fact, there's a book out there by Kristen Kobes Dume called Jesus and John Wayne, talking about the Christian nationalist
oh,
movement and how John Wayne was a big part of that, like, I have to be macho sort of situation, and starting the religious right sort of thing
yes.
around with him and Reagan. So anyway, he is not viewed positively in that book, I will say.
Oh,
And it just kind of cemented for me the idea that, yeah, this isn't
he's
good.
the
But I've never
worst.
really seen his movies.
I hate
Yeah.
John Wayne. And I've seen, at this point, I've seen Stagecoach and I've seen
Hmm.
Red River. I
Okay.
think both of those might have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I know Red River does.
Whoa.
Um,
Really?
yes. Uh,
Okay. So,
and even on Letterboxd, Red River is a 4.0.
really?
Yeah.
So, Kara's favorite, the only John Wayne movie well, I've seen two. Okay, I've seen two. I McClintock is one. It
Okay.
has Maureen O'Hara in it, and Maureen O'Hara is the mom in the original Parent Trap with Haley Mills.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so that's how I know her, and I love her. But it is the most sexist. Like, he literally spanks his wife when
Oh,
she
yeah.
misbehaves. He
Yeah.
throws her over his lap, and you see him like spanking her, and I'm like, what in the what? That's terrible.
Uh-huh.
But the one that is your Aunt Kara's favorite and my favorite is McClintock, or not McClintock. I'm sorry, that's what I just said. Is oh my gosh, I just lost it.
Atari.
Thank you, Hatari, where they go to Africa and there's all these animals and it has red buttons in it. Plays his like right hand man, who was like
Oh.
a really big character actor of that time.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, there's like elephants, and the song "The Elephant Walk" is from that movie. So it's
Oh.
not a Western. I mean,
No,
that
no.
part is good, but I don't know if I don't remember if there's anything derogatory
Oh,
toward African
I'm
people.
sure there is.
I'm sure there is. I have not watched it in many, 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 many years,
But
but it's not a Western.
speaking of Hatari, Howard Hawks,
Yes.
same guy who did Red River.
Really?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I know Kara's seen it more recently because that's like her comfort watch.
Oh,
For
sure.
me, it's like, yeah, I've seen it a few times and I enjoyed it, but I haven't seen it in a long time. And I'm sure if I watched it now, I'd be like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
yikes, that's not good. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so that is that.
That is
In fact, I have a John Wayne movie on my shelf over here that Grandma Margie gave me because she's like, it's my favorite John Wayne. You should watch it. And she has Alzheimer's, so she doesn't remember how to use her VCR anymore. So
mm,
she loaned it to me. And I was like, oh gosh, I really should watch that so I can get it back to her. But she wouldn't remember how to use the VCR anyway. So I don't feel a big hurry
no.
to watch it. But I don't remember what one it is but it's her favorite John Wayne is down here in the basement.
I have a copy of a VHS that she gave me, or whatever. I have it. It's How the West Was Won. I don't know if that's
Oh,
still
that's
on.
the one.
Oh,
You took
that's.
it. Yeah.
I didn't take it. I just.
No, it's great. I'm not upset
Okay.
about it. I was looking over at the shelf. I'm like, I'm not seeing it over there,
Oh, I
but
don't
it's
know.
because you have a VCR. I don't.
It was with all
So
my VHSs. I think
yeah,
it was in the box. But I still have
maybe I
the
threw
note.
it. Oh, there's a note on there.
It was just like one of my absolute faves, Margie or something. And I'm like,
Oh,
I'll just
oh,
keep
that's
that.
sweet. Yeah, you should. Even though it's John Wayne, you should. Just
Yeah,
to have her handwriting and yeah, that's sweet.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So then we just went another 15 minutes.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
But yeah,
Okay.
doing that
So
on the
I'm
Boy
going to
Time
tell everyone.
podcast.
What's that?
I was just like, I'm doing that on the Boy Time podcast. That's what we're doing.
Yes. Yes.
And
Or what music on your other channel?
yeah, music on Boy Time. We just released we did 2 classic albums back to back. We did Nick Drake, Brighter Later, and Mezzanine by Massive Attack.
Mm.
2 absolute bangers. I love Nick Drake, one of my favorites. Yeah.
I'll show my age on that one. I've never heard of either of those two people. That's the first time I've ever heard those words in my ears.
Oh, Nick Drake is from the 70s, so you're not showing your age there.
Oh,
And Massive Attack is from the 90s. So,
what?
yeah.
Well, I'll write down Nick Drake. Is it good? Like I should listen to it? Do you think I would like it?
It's folk music from the 70s.
Okay, I would like it then.
Okay.
Okay.
I would recommend the album Pink Moon. Or you
Okay.
could check out Brighter Later, which we just did. It's more like 70s folk pop. It's more like
Okay.
full orchestrations. I love Pink Moon.
Mm.
It's just him and a guitar.
Oh, nice.
And it is like so stripped back. I don't know if you'll like it 100%. It's very melancholic.
I don't mind melancholic. I
Okay.
just have to pick the right time to listen to it.
Okay.
Like I don't like sad stuff in the morning. When I'm getting ready to start my day, I need something that's like makes me want to dance in the car and
Okay.
sing along and play my steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I do like it on my way home.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like melancholic music.
He does not make morning music. Well, he makes morning music
Mm.
for me, but not for you. No, just a really, really great talent. He was
Hmm.
he's an artist. He did not get fame at his time. He released
Mm.
3 albums from 1969 to 1973.
Mm.
And then he killed himself a year later.
Oh gosh. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
He was only
Okay.
26.
Oh,
Um,
that is so sad.
yeah, from England, and a lot
Huh.
of his songs deal with mental health issues, which at the
Mm.
time would have been rare, which might have actually led to him not getting like
Sure.
radio play. Um,
Very taboo topic of the time. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Nobody talks about that
and
then.
he is not hiding it. It's
Hmm.
very. I'm not gonna say it's like in
Well,
your face, but he is like he's talking about like these very specific feelings that have to
hmm.
do with having depression, which is probably
Mm.
why I like it so much. But
Yeah.
Pink Moon, I think it's maybe the best folk album ever. I'll just say that.
Wow. Listen to you singing the praises of Nick Drake.
Oh, he's the best.
Okay. I will add that to my maybe on my so I'll listen to Jamaica Farewell on my way to work and I'll listen to Pink Moon on my way home. I have a 25-minute ride, so I won't be able to listen to the whole thing, but
I think you will. It's very short.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Um, go
it
ahead.
it's it the reason he found success and later
Mhm.
after he died,
Mhm.
nobody had heard of him for 30 years. And then in the 2000s, the song Pink Moon was in a Nissan commercial in Europe
Really?
somewhere. It's like some random car company
Hmm.
did a commercial with Pink Moon in it it wasn't even in the States. It was like in some random European country. But like
Hmm.
it gained some traction from that. People checked out that album and like he has gone on to be like one of the most influential folk artists. I think it would be very difficult to find someone who's operating in the folk space that is not in some way influenced by him.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about that with painters a lot, where it's like,
Yeah, like Van
this
Gogh.
person was, yeah, they were never famous in their lifetime. And now they're like the pinnacle of what you think about when you're thinking about art, one of the most recognizable names.
Yeah.
And same thing here. And how sad,
Oh,
too,
it's
that
so
he
sad.
never experienced that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's man,
hmm,
that story is so sad because like half of the people in his life were like, no, it was like an accident. Because I think he like overdosed on
mm,
antidepressants. So
mm,
like there are some people like friends of his that are like, no, it was like an accident. He didn't mean to. Like just holding on to that belief that like whatever, it wasn't intentional. But like his
yeah.
family's like, that's kind of making him sound dumb. Like he knew what he
Mm,
was doing.
yeah.
I'm like, man, just
Wow.
it's really sad.
That's brutal. There's
But
so many tragic stories like that. I think sometimes, creative people, not that every creative person struggles with mental illness, but it does seem like it is very prevalent among people who are creative
sure.
people.
Yeah, you have to
Um,
have an outlet for it.
yeah, yeah. This reminds me that I bought concert tickets today, and we don't go to that many concerts.
Mm-mm.
Your dad is a big fan of the artist Lizzie. Do you know Lizzie at all?
Just Lizzie?
Lissie.
Mm-mm.
And the way we found her is we were watching the show Louder Milk,
Okay.
and she is in the later season, and she plays a musician. that works at a record store or something, but she plays guitar. She's a folk singer.
Okay.
And we saw her perform on the show. And your dad, being a music fan, was like, oh my gosh, I really like this song that she's singing on the show. She was on multiple episodes. And so he really liked her and is now a huge fan, like listens to her all the time. And she's playing in Davenport, Iowa. I was like, why in the world? Because Dave was like, yeah, she's playing in, I can't remember, Michigan. And then she's in Davenport. And then she spends a month in Europe
Oh,
touring over there. And so I was saying, I saw it online. I was like, oh, we need to get tickets. She is your ride or die. You listen to her all the time. He's like, oh, I don't know. It's like a standing room only little tiny bar she's playing in.
oh,
Um, and he's like, oh, I don't know. And he said, then the more I was thinking about it, the more I was like, she's playing Europe. How often does she come to anywhere near us, right?
mhm.
But apparently she had a top 10 album like 10 years ago in Europe. I'm not
Oh,
sure
sure.
what it was that she had that hit over there was what made me think of this when you're talking about,
Oh, yeah.
like this random commercial and then they end up with a hit song over there,
Right.
Anyway, she had some top 10 songs over there, but anyway, she's from the Midwest and I think she
Oh,
might actually be from Iowa somewhere,
yeah, I think so.
which
Dad
is
told
why
me
she's
about that.
playing Davenport. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to go see her in April and it's going to be really great.
Nice.
I'm excited. So I need to start listening to her because I don't really know any of her music, although she did do a cover of Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor, which
Mm,
is written by Prince, which is whose house we're going to next weekend. Woo, woo.
that's
So
right.
excited.
Yeah, we're going to Paisley Park.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm
It
really
is gonna
excited
be
about that.
great.
So anyway, I heard her cover of that today when your dad and I were in the car, and I was like, now I know this song.
There
I
you
doubt
go.
she'll do it at the concert, but so anyway, I need to listen to her stuff so I know it, so that when I go to the show, I'll be excited and I can
Yeah. There you
be a
go.
fan. So anyway, folk singer, you should check her out sometime.
Okay. I don't know if Dad sent me some. He's sent me
Oh,
some music. I don't know if he sent me that.
that's probably it because he's really been on a kick with her lately. So
I don't know.
anyway, okay, well that sounds good. I'm going to tell you go support your local library. Again, please go support your local library and call your mom. She probably would love to hear from you. I know
Yeah.
I always love it when my kids reach out to me. So call your mama if she's around.
Okay. Took a dark turn there at the end, but that's fine.
I know. It really did. I just feel, I'm like, I don't want to tell people to call their mom and their mom isn't around anymore and it's so sad. So maybe I shouldn't even say it. No, I think you should call your mom.
I think,
Treasure her in your heart.
yeah, I think you can say that. I don't
Okay.
think you need to make it
I
macabre.
don't need to qualify it.
No.
If she's dead, you don't get to call her.
Hey, bozo, I know your mom croaked, so you don't get to call her.
Oh, brother. Okay. I won't do that next time.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.